Hi again, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Keeping It Real with Coach Neal, alongside the head coach of the UNCW women's soccer program, Chris Neal. I'm Eric Root, glad to have you on board with us this week. And Coach, 2 games in a span of 72 hours. You come away with 2 victories. Give us the 30,000-foot view, if you will, from the sidelines of what you saw this week.
Sure. We're really proud of what the team put together the past week. Went on the road to a conference champion in High Point, who I expect to be contending again for another Big South title, and really rolled our sleeves up and came out with a 2-1 come-from-behind victory, and that was fantastic. And then we come home to a perennial Southern Conference contender with UNCG, and it was kind of the same storyline. Went down, but rolled our sleeves up and came back. So just really proud of the week. It's still early, and we're in a growth phase. So the key is just to get better every week, and if you can pick off wins along the way, that's just icing on the cake. So that's our feeling right now. We got better, and we were able to get a few wins.
Talk about the resiliency of your team a little bit, because again, as you mentioned, and this has been the case in the first 3 games of the regular season, you fall behind early, but the team battles back. And last week, a goal within the first 15 minutes at High Point, and then a goal within the first 2 minutes against UNCG. But your team didn't show any quit. They come back, they tie, they eventually take the lead. That has to be a pretty good feeling as a coach, to see that your team can bounce back from those early deficits and make some moves to get in the win column.
We're certainly confident that we can come back, but that's not a pattern that we are trying to establish if we can help it. I think that all the roster disruption we experienced with the COVID and the protocols early on has been a factor in that. We were fortunate to get a few usual suspects back against UNCG. Not everybody, but and that certainly helped us. But I think that's been a big factor in just kind of the rhythm to start games for us. The lineups looked a little bit different each game. So I'm hoping that as we hopefully get our head above water in that respect, that we can establish a little more consistency, and hopefully we can flip that script, and we'll be the team scoring first in these upcoming games. We'll see.
Talk about your newcomers. Again, this is a very young roster that you have put together for this 2021 fall season. They're starting to get a little more acclimated to the college game now. They've had a handful of games. You had a few of those newcomers start to make some impacts this past week. What have you seen from that group through the first 2 weeks of the regular season?
A lot of these newcomers were forced into action, so they got an opportunity that they might not have traditionally received this early in the season, and they have stepped up big time. Kaylee Bierman is a great example. Blair Barefoot got injured against East Carolina. She will be returning at some point soon, but Kaylee was forced into action as a freshman in goal, and how much she has developed from the very first day of training and getting used to our training demands and the pace at which we train to her performance against UNCG and High Point this past week is just stellar. We're really proud of her. So that's just one example of some of the young players that have stepped up, and we've got a nice little blend of experience and new faces, but there are a lot of new faces, as you said. So it's really important that we do a lot of teaching in these early weeks.
Kaylee Bierman named CAA Rookie of the Week on Monday. 2 really stellar efforts in my mind on Thursday night and then again Sunday night. For her to earn this award, obviously she would defer to her teammates if we asked her about it, but how does an award like that this early in the season kind of build her confidence a little bit, knowing that she has to be the brick wall in the goal for you until Blair gets back and maybe even down the line further in the season?
Well, as a freshman, we're trying not to put too much pressure on her. It's just show up and get better and enjoy the fruits of your labor, so to speak. Sometimes when you see a goalkeeper named Player of the Week in the league, it's because their defense was stellar and the goalkeeper didn't have to do much and they earned a couple of shutouts. But in this case, Kaylee really earned the honors on a handful of occasions against UNCG on Sunday. We could have gone down 2 goals early on, and she made some huge saves, specifically with her positioning, which is an area that Sean Donahue has focused on with her heavily in the first couple of weeks. So Really, really proud of her, and she's earned it.
3 games in, you're 2-1-0 on the year early on. Give me a sense of your thoughts on the team through those 3 games. Obviously, you had the setback against VCU, and then you come back and get the 2 wins last week. But where has the team landed in terms of the expectations for you 3 games in?
I think we're pretty much where we thought we would be. The key for us is, to keep adding something to our arsenal every single game without letting pieces fall out of the ship, so to speak. I've been doing this so long, and I've seen teams progress through the preseason and the non-conference phase in different ways. Sometimes teams can get better at certain things, but then they forget certain things for the next game, and it's kind of a cycle of that. And then other teams can keep adding on while not losing pieces, and that's what you want. So that's what I feel like we've done the past 2 weeks. We've added to our game, we've added to our quality, and we're not making the same mistakes we made in the first exhibition matches. So that's where I feel like we're at right now, and I hope we continue that.
1 game on the docket this week. You make the short trip down to Conway in Coastal Carolina Sunday night, a team you saw in the spring season. What do you expect from the Chanticleers, and how do you expect your team to continue the momentum heading into that Sunday night matchup?
Well, it's a regional battle, and it's always a dogfight. They are extremely well coached and well organized. They're coming off a big overtime victory, I believe. So they'll have confidence and momentum as well. And, when you're playing on the road anywhere in Division I, you need to be extremely prepared for the battle. And I expect it to be an entertaining match.
And obviously it's your lone game of the week, so how does that help in terms of preparation, knowing that you only have that 1 fixture on the schedule as opposed to preparing for 2 opponents in the span of a weekend? Obviously the schedule has its ebbs and flows, but got to be a good opportunity for you to get your troops back in line, ready for Sunday.
It's huge because with the COVID disruptions we had and the roster adjustments, we had low numbers. So in the first 3 matches, we overplayed players more minutes than we typically would at this point in the season. So what it means for us specifically this week, Eric, is we have some key players that are going to get some additional rest because there is no Thursday match. So players like Talia Paris, who played 90 minutes against High Point on turf on the road and then 90 minutes at home against UNCG. Carrie Allard did the same thing. Grace Guller did the same thing. So Morgan Annie played, I think Morgan played 75 plus on turf against High Point, and then probably the same at home against UNCG. We've got to give those players an additional day or 2 of rest at this point in the season so that we make sure they're still fresh come conference time, and we don't want to overplay them too much too early.
Sunday night's game is at 6 o'clock. That'll be on ESPN+. Coach, best of luck, and we'll chat with you again next week.
Thank you, Eric.
That's head coach Chris Neal from the UNCW Women's Soccer Program. I'm Eric Rue. Thanks for joining us this week. We'll see you again this time next week for another edition of Keeping It Real with Coach Neal.